All right, team, here's my practice set design that I made for the attic scene from the Droitwich Discovery play. And let me just tell you about it. So I used that key at the beginning on the instructions to guide my drawing. First thing I did was I drew my performance space. So that rectangle there is my performance space. It's a proscenium stage. This thing right here, that's the apron, like if we were at ISK. I indicated the audience by writing audience. So if the audience is on one side and the performance space is on the other, it's usually a proscenium stage or an open-end stage. The sight lines I indicated because you want to make sure you draw everything so that the worst seat in the house can still have a decent view. So in our theater, that's way on the sides. This thing here is the proscenium wall, this little block here. That's how it's generally drawn on a blueprint. This little squiggly line here is the grand curtain, so you can see where the masking would start. I'm not going to draw anything downstage of the grand curtain so that when the curtain opens and closes, nothing gets caught or blocked by the curtain. I drew interior wall. The next thing I did was draw interior walls. So I chose to do 2 walls. One of the big things was that shaft of light that needs to come through. So that needed to be clear somehow in the design. You don't have to draw 2 walls. You could have drawn 1 or 3 or 4 really, but there needed to be that angle of the shaft of light, which was important in the set design. Okay, so the next thing I did, I needed to determine what were the viable things besides the shaft of light that I need to have in this design. Those were the boxes blocking the door. There needed to be a wardrobe, and it needed to be stage right for some reason. And there needed to be chest, old boxes, piles of clothes, etc., and whatever else I wanted. So everything beyond that is going to be aesthetic. So for example, my aesthetic things are the rolled up carpets over here. Oh, this is also viable, the circular window here with a curtain on it. A squiggly line is always the symbol for a curtain. I put a little costume rack to add some color. Here's some clothes on the floor, a baby crib and a broken rocking horse, like creepy kids' toys. And then all these things are just like piles of random papers everywhere. It's supposed to look like super duper cluttered. I made sure that I kept all my furniture away from the wall. So this wardrobe, there's a space to go behind it, and there's a space to go behind this tall costume rack just to give the actors opportunities. When in doubt, you want to push everything downstage because like look how far away that audience is from the actual set. So if you find yourself with a bunch of negative space, just push everything downstage. You might have to redraw everything, but it's worth it to push it downstage. These rolled up carpets here, that would be fun if they like fell on, I don't know what happens in this play, but that could be really fun. This is a bird's eye view, so it's gonna look really, really different than if I were to draw it as a scenery sketch. Then I would actually have to put some perspective in there and indicate what kind of stuff is hanging on the walls and then what the audience actually sees. Like a proscenium theater is like the audience is looking through a picture window or a movie screen and watching. So all these walls I would have to fill, and I would have to show what would be decorating the walls, I guess, if anything. I don't know what decorates a wall in an attic. It would be dark and dingy for sure. Okay, I forgot to say that I think my point of focus is the particularly large chest downstage center, and that is because it is center stage, downstage, center. If I was really smart, maybe I would have had the shaft of light hitting the particularly large chest, but in my design you can't really do that. But anyway, since it's downstage, front and center, I think that's the focal point. Hopefully those piles of boxes aren't overshadowing it. You'd think that chest is probably important since they indicated it in the at-rise description. I considered scale. Oh, and I drew arrows on all the workable entrances and exits, like over here, right? If it's an actual entrance and exit, you have to have arrows. This is not an entrance or an exit, so I could either make that like a window. I could like have Juma cut out like a window into the wall, or that could be like painted on the wall. The fact that it doesn't have arrows just means that Juma doesn't have to make it a working window. So that's a architectural design thing, is that you have to draw arrows. Okay, last thing that I want to point out is that, see George and Dilly over here? Those are two actors. Usually you don't have to draw actors on a set design plan, but since they're indicated in the at-rise scene description and it's important for them to push the door open and knock over all those boxes, I drew them. If you notice, I only drew them as circles because you have to look at a person from a bird's eye view and all you see is the top of their head, so that's why I drew just a circle. If you wanted to be really nitpicky and draw their shoulders, you could have done that as well, but at least I didn't draw them as like people laying down on the ground. George and Dilly are not dead people or sleeping people on the ground. They're standing up, which is why I just drew the top of their head.